All right, so I'm about to react to the video "Straight Guys and Trans Girls." Now, by the title, this seems like a DL topic, like she's going to expose. Uh, I guess the lifestyle of, you know, meeting behind like in the dark or closed doors or some shit like that. So let's see where it goes.
Hi guys, it's Maya here, and today I'm doing another controversial video on whether or not
straight guys like trans girls,
or whether or not the guys who are with trans girls are considered gay, or whatever labels you want to call it. As a trans
All right, so maybe not. Maybe it's not called that. All right, so it sounds like she's about to go into the is it gay to be with someone? I'm going to assume that it's with the guy with the trans woman that has already had the surgery, like they cut it off, because I don't know how you can not say that they're not if there's a penis there, right? Now I know for those of you watching this, if you're not a trans supporter, you're probably I'm pretty sure you're gonna be like, by default it's gay regardless if they had it cut off. It's fine, but I can listen to the justification, right? I mean, I know everything's still the same. After that, the back, the wrists, the arms, the hands, the feet. But I can listen to the justification if a dude was like, oh, my girl's trans, she, the dick's not there anymore. I could listen to the justification for that.
trans woman myself, I have a lot of experience on this topic, a lot of my own personal testimonies to share, and just my thoughts and opinions on this. Obviously, a lot of these labels can be subjective, and I think the biggest message here is that we should never be placing labels on people or saying what someone else's relationship is, because we don't know the finer workings of it, and who are we to judge and make labels for people, Like, why does...
I gotta disagree at this first point, where it's the don't make labels thing. We make labels for everything. The trans community, essentially, if they didn't make the label, they sure as hell made it popular with the cis word. So you can't say let's not make labels when clearly they're not against making labels. They are. So I can never be with the when it's for you, don't have a problem with it. When it's against you, oh, now I have a problem with it. So I gotta disagree with that one.
It matters so much? Why don't you let people be who they want to be in relationships they want to be in, and love who they want to love. So anyways, I'm going to talk about some finer details and kind of go into the psyche of dating as a trans woman and just explore what it means to be in a relationship with cisgender men. First and foremost, there is a kind of misconception that trans women are so much different from biological women, and any man who is attracted to them is not straight. At least that relationship with cisgender men. First and foremost, there is a kind of misconception that...
Okay, I had to go back and listen to the exact term she used. So when she says a misconception that they're so much different, all right, look, I've heard that like when you're on Twitter, especially Twitter, I haven't seen it on Facebook really, but again, I probably aren't friends with anybody who supports it, so it's probably why. But so specifically, what I've seen on Twitter, especially this one point in time where it was like a very like vocal point of trending at one day, a few weeks it was, where it was trans women are women, and they were having this type of conversation, which is like they're the same. And look, here's people who are trans, who support trans. This is where you kind of bring other people into your world and give them the ability to judge what you do. Because first of all, even if, let's say, the only people who respond are women, right? When you're saying you're just like them, there's nothing different. They don't have the right to say no, you're not. You're saying you're them. When at one point you weren't them, you weren't a part of them, but then now there has been this, this shift. You can't just say, fuck you, shut up, we are the same. You can't do that. You can't do that with any group of people. So it's not, and I think I'm off topic a little bit. But when you say it's a misconception, no. Like, y'all seen the video I reacted to. As when you slim it down, when you dumb it all the way down, that surgery, that's a inside out penis. A lot of people will put it. So you can't say that there's no difference. And again, like I said before, the back is different. The hand, like, everything's different. You can't say that it's not that is you're the same. You can't.
Trans women are so much different from biological women, and any man who is attracted to them is not straight, at least not 100% straight. And I kind of agree with the 100% straight thing, because I don't really think anyone is 100% straight.
All right, I thought we were about to agree right there with the 100% straight thing. She says she does, well, all right, for those of you who has a problem with me calling this person a she, look, it's easier, right? It's easier for me, so shut up. But when she said, nobody, she doesn't think, obviously that's her opinion because she said think. But when it comes to, you can't say what everybody else's orientation is. Because saying, again, I understand she says think, but it's still some sort of implied theory of, well, everybody kind of wants to have sex with the same sex a little bit, maybe make out just, or blah, blah, blah. And then what you do when you say something like that, which rather, you could be right, but when you throw that in there, you bring up something that allows people to go, see, now you're reaching. Now you're just trying to make everybody like you to justify what you're doing. People, you gotta understand when to use shit and when to say shit. This is why I'm always right. Because people never point out when I'm wrong. I find out I'm wrong more than other people who disagree with me find out I'm wrong. People, you gotta understand when to put something somewhere. So when she brings up, oh, no, but I don't think anybody's 100% straight. You just threw a wrench in your own game.
But aside from that, what I do have to say is that straight men cannot always tell whether or not someone is transgender. So you can have a surface level attraction to trans women without knowing that they're trans. And I've experienced this when I was a little bit more in my wilder days, going out partying, going to frat parties, going to homecomings, going to clubs and bars and stuff. And yeah, so back in those days, I would go to these parties with friends and I would just kind of blend in. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but you would inevitably get attention from guys. And these guys did not see me as a man. They did not see me as a trans woman, because physically there is very little, if anything, that could differentiate me. There are cisgender women who have deeper voices. There are cisgender women who are taller than me, stronger, bigger, anything. It's such a diverse world we live in. And men aren't attracted to people because of their chromosomes. They don't just walk up to women and go,
okay, all right. So that point, men are attracted to people because of their chromosomes. That doesn't negate something that's already established, as if laying with another person of the same sex being a gay act. It doesn't negate that within itself, right? And then the points building up to it, which is there are women who are natural born women who are stronger, taller, deeper voice, blah blah blah. What does that have to do with the chromosomes? So you brought up two different points that don't go with each other. Like they don't even address. They address the same thing, but they don't make really this. They don't have the same weight. They don't make the same. You focus down the same. Damn it! I can't think about what I'm saying. But then again, fuck it. Let's play it.
What do you smell? Man flesh.
You know what I mean? Like, no one knows what your chromosomes are, and there's just so many diverse trans women out there. You may never know whether or not they are trans.
Here's another thing that I've been seeing over the past maybe year. There's nothing wrong with being a part of the LGBT community movement or any of that. You gotta watch how. Speaking to them, you gotta watch how you go about wording your arguments, because a lot of times they'll respond to something or they'll construct an argument that says, "See, this isn't gay. There's nothing wrong with this." Da da da. Now, what you're saying, you're making it seem as if you're trying to tell someone something isn't gay because even you think that it's wrong. So you gotta watch how you word something, because then it could end up hurting you, because it sounds like you're making a case for the opposing side by trying to soften the blow. See, and now I'm kind of having this epiphany. So I remember when Bernard was having, somehow it came up on his channel of bisexual men or something like that. I don't know how, but it did. And one of the guys on there, they kept using they were going by the definition of bisexual. And the other guy was doing the no, it's gay, no, it's gay, no, it's gay. Nothing, it's not bi, it's gay. He was going more so on principle. And when people do this, the way I look at it and try to, explain it is, what they're saying is straight equals right, gay equals wrong. You can't be right, wrong. And they could just pick one. And you can't be a little wrong, but then come back to being right. They go back, no, you're wrong, just stay wrong. So when you hear this person make that argument that they did for straight men, it's almost as like they're approaching it with yeah, I know it's wrong, but they're not technically wrong because they don't even know. Their mind doesn't perceive it as what it is, so their actions are justified. You follow me now? All right, let's keep moving.
So because of that, I would say that yes, straight men who are attracted to women on the feminine spectrum can be attracted to trans women. Just on like a scientific level, they are aroused by trans women. So with that in mind, I would say yes, self-identified straight men can be attracted to trans women. Like, I've had my fair share of experiences of advances from people on sports teams, from the most macho people to more feminine men. Like, the spectrum varies, and most of them all identified as straight. Some of them may be bisexual, some of them may be figuring stuff out, who knows. But it's largely in the straight department, because when you look at someone like me, you don't assume that a gay man would be into someone who looks and acts like a woman. So it just kind of has that contrast, right? Like, how would that make any sense? I think a lot of the issue here is that people see trans women as imitations or performance for biological women. Like, we aren't real, you know what I mean? And it's very derogatory to think of that.
Okay, so again, we're at they see us as imitations or I think she said pretend. I can't remember. I'm not going to rewind it either. But something in that realm, and then apparently it's offensive to say otherwise. Okay, so she also used biological in there as well. Now what we have to do is figure out, okay, what do they define as real? Because they also use, when they make this case, as you said, heard her, what she said, biological always seems to come up when they're making this comparison. Okay, so now what we have to do is, what do you define as real? And is that, are you differentiating? Are you using that as something different than biological, right? Because let's see. Fuck, I can't think of an example. But it definitely seems like they're using real and biological as not interchangeable, which then is like, what is what is real? What does real mean? Because I'm sure people would say authentic and like biological, unaltered, all of that is one and the same, interchangeable. But they don't use those two words, interchangeable, when having this conversation. Like, let's say if something like, okay, Jordans, which everybody understands, right? If someone takes a pair of Jordans, and like you've seen these channels where they change the bottom part, that you know how they resurface them or bring them back to life. They take like the bottom part, not the insoles, but like, I forget what that part is called at the very bottom that smacks the ground. But let's say they take a new part of those and then stitch it on to like the other part. Would you consider that authentic, or would you consider that not authentic? Right? It's still from, or is that a bad comparison because it's still from another Jordan? That would be more like having, a heart transplant. So okay, alrighty. I think I'm fucking this comparison up really bad. Let's see if I can think of one real quick before I move on. No, I can't. So let's just keep moving.
To think of us that way. My sentiment is that we are just being ourselves. Transitioning is not something to attain a certain look or a certain lifestyle. Transitioning is to allow us to express ourselves. I always wanted to have long hair growing up. I always wanted to wear these clothes and be able to talk.
What's the difference, though? If you're transitioning to express yourself, that still has to do with your lifestyle. That didn't change that you were obtaining a certain lifestyle. And what it sounds like, I probably should let it play a little bit, but it sounds like you're about to, go into explaining or describing a lifestyle that you wanted. But I might have stuck my foot in my mouth. Let's see.
How I naturally talk, which is like this, a little bit more up and down, a little bit more feminine. And if you're a woman and you don't do any of these things, that's fine too. But it was all about freedom of expression. And through the label of trans, I was able to convey that to people. This is why I am this way. This is why I want to express myself this way. And it has nothing to do with attaining a perfect standard of being a woman. Lots of trans women don't want to be feminine.
Okay, let's one thing that I'm not sure if this even what she was speaking about, but it did come to my head. What? But this actually does have nothing to do with what she said. I just thought about this. A question that I've wanted answered for quite a while now is, when people pretend to imitate or transition to or whatever, why does it always seem to be the stereotype of the opposite side? Or like, I used to work with this chick. Actually, there's one job I had, I think, and I've said this before. Like, on one shift, there was like 4 women who were gay, and you could tell because they all looked like me. So it was like, why when people do the transition or, imitate, it's always the stereotype of the other side. At that job, this one chick took on the role of a baby. Actually, 2 of them. 2 of them took on the role of baby daddy for their girlfriends. And again, they dressed and looked in all like a guy who would be somebody's fucking baby daddy. Like, very rarely do I see. I think I know one gay chick who works at the gym that I frequent. It seems like she dresses like a. She wears khakis or some shit like that, or button up shirt. But it's like, why does it seem like? Or maybe they're just the ones that stand out. Maybe we got it wrong, and they're just the ones that stand out. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Let's just keep moving.
But they still identify as women. Another thing I want to touch on is, obviously there are some differences, but the main difference that people seem to hone in on is what's between our legs. And let me tell you, there is lots of guys who can overlook that. It's not the most important feature. It's not what guys ultimately like in a long-term relationship. It's all about the person. It's all about, who you are. And that is just...
Wait. Overlook and what's important in a long-term relationship is the two things that just clash together in my head. So it sounds like what overlook means is that ignore. Like, you can ignore the penis. Like, dudes, I guess that means they don't use it, because you can't. Would you? I mean, you'd have to not use it to overlook it, right? Right? Because otherwise, wouldn't that just be not minding to be fucked with a dick? Like, wouldn't that fall into that category at that point? So you have to assume that they're not using it in that way. And then again, what she said, looks for, or what is something? I'm gonna just use the word looks for, the phrase looks for, because I can't remember exactly what she said, but looks for in a long-term relationship. Then at this point, it sounds like you're talking about a guy who is looking kind of solely for companionship in a relationship, right? But they don't want to cuddle with the dog. And I'm not trying to be funny when I say it, it's just the best example I could give. Let's see. So what these two specific things, what can they mean, right? All right, so let's ask the question. What type of guy would say, you know what, I just want companionship and that's it for my long-term relationship? Having the typical, what's expected of a quote-unquote straight guy, because she even uses the quotes herself. What straight guy would enter into a relationship and say, the vagina not being there doesn't matter to me. I just want companionship. And I was going to make a video about this, but I couldn't figure out how, right? And it was going to be, and I asked a question on Twitter, and I got absolutely no responses, which is another reason why I didn't make it. But do incels and trans women, like, should they date, shit like that, right? So now, with this being coming out of coming out of the mouth of a trans woman, I will, by default, until you show me otherwise, qualify this guy as an incel. Now, obviously, maybe there could be other reasons, like, I don't know, maybe a hidden fetish, or I can't think of any other ones, so we're going to stop with those two. All right, that's so that's what I get from those two. All right, let's keep moving.
An added extra, Obviously, there are people who are going to be attracted based on genitals, and I don't care. Like, you do you. Like, no one is forcing anyone to date or like trans people. That is not the point of this video, but I'm just saying that
actually is the line you have to. I know it's a low bar, but you actually kind of have to applaud that, because there's on several occasions Now maybe they were trolling, but again, have been several occasions where people would or a trans woman will say, like this person named Dennis J. Riley, YouTube channel, look it up. A lot of people did a reaction to the video in which they said, if you don't date a trans person, you're like transphobic, or it's discrimination, something like that, as if discrimination in your love life is a bad thing. But so you actually have to kind of like give kudos to that line.
There is alternatives, especially if you like want to look at things more sexually. You can still be a submissive partner as a trans woman. Like, it doesn't make anyone gay, you know? Like, people will have anal with biological women. They'll have anal with trans women.
Is that a comparison though? Because anal is not. All right, see now, hold on. See, I was going to say anal isn't the by default hole to use. I mean, like, other than the mouth, right? Like, it's the anal. Like, there would be the vagina, but they do have a surgically one place there. So, like, do they now have the argument of, well, it's not ours either? I don't know.
Is one gay and one not gay? Like, how do you make that sense? You know, it's really not. And then there's lots of trans women who also have had the surgery. So it all depends on perception, right? And I feel like a lot of the people who say the comments, like, it's gay if you like trans women, they are a bit ignorant to the situation. They probably haven't been in a relationship with a trans woman, and they just have this stigma in their mind about how a trans woman is just an imitation, is really a man in a wig or a drag or cross-dressing. And they're very...
Well, in a lot of instances, like when you hear the way that this stuff is described and you see certain things, that kind of holds a little weight, like the man in a wig comment. Because I remember years ago when I heard somebody describe like a transgender or something like that, and then I'm just like, wait a minute, no. If all they did was put on some clothes and a wig, that's a cross-dresser. That's not a trans person. But then again, update 2020, apparently trans person, transgender, all it literally just means, I guess, if you just want to transition. Admittedly, I don't know much about the subject, so if you're a trans person, you're here to fucking cuss me out, shut up. But this is just kind of some weight to that statement.
very different things. Unfortunately, there is a lot of negative attention around men who date trans women. They are perceived as gay, they're looked down upon, their friends make fun of them. There is a lot of negative energy around that, and that stems from male masculinity standards. It stems from women being like, oh my god, like, my boyfriend's dated a trans woman, he must be gay. And those kind of ideas are very, very harmful towards not only trans relationships, but towards the men themselves. Like, honestly, it's very sad that they feel like they can't express themselves because they will be met with so much discrimination based on who they're seeing and dating. So it's really sad that that's the way things are right now. Hopefully people will become more relaxed in the future and things won't be that way. Like, I'm talking, like, I would...
Okay, so I ultimately believe people should live their life the way they want to. Within the, with other legal adults. But people having problems or questions or judgments for the men in their life, because that's who we're talking about right now. We're not talking about it the other way around. We're talking about men who date trans people. So, like I said earlier, which is what kind of guy would this be? It's kind of relevant to a degree why they would pass judgment. Because I'm pretty sure their question is, well, why don't you get a regular woman then? Which I listen, trans women, I understand that you feel there's no difference. But you gotta understand that on the other end, a lot of people are just like, well, women here, trans women here. I mean, you can't see my hand, but you get the picture. So when your brother or cousin, male cousin or whatever is like, yeah, I got my trans woman, my woman, she's trans, blah blah blah. A lot of them are instantly going to start thinking, couldn't get a real woman, biological woman. Like what is this? Why are you doing this? So there is a reason or some bit of a reason that they have to justify making the judgment because they're looking at this person that's telling them this and they're coming off as a failure. So
go on dating apps and guys would express interest to me privately, like well-known guys in real estate or more like public figure guys. And it's like only in a discreet kind of way, and it's
okay, so it sounds like she's describing a fetish, but I do also want to point out that, and I'm not going to drop the link. I might actually stop being fucking lazy and actually go dig up the link. But this person named Blair White, who's also a transgender YouTuber, she was interviewed by a guy who usually interviews rappers, I believe. I think. And she revealed on there that in LA, I don't know how true it is, but she revealed that a lot of A-list rappers, what she said, A-list rappers love being with trans women. That's what she said. Again, I don't know how truth that is, how much weight that holds, but that's what was said. All right, moving on.
because society doesn't allow them the freedom to express that without being met with so much judgment. So it all stems from judgment as well. A lot of the people that you might perceive as straight men, they might be attracted to trans women, Like, you might be attracted to a trans woman and not know that they're trans. It's all about perspective. Yeah, you can argue, I'm only attracted to people because I want to have biological children with them. But that's not really the way that attraction works in animals and in science. Animals don't have the instinct to say, I want to reproduce. Like, that's my main goal. I'm only attracted to people I want to reproduce.
Okay, now it sounds like, maybe I've been missing this the whole video, but it sounds like she's trying to separate attraction from everything else. And the issue with that is, that's not, people don't want to separate their attraction. I'm not sure if you understand this, but people don't want to separate their attraction from other things that they want to do, which is why we have a lot of the problems that we have. On one of the panels I watch all the time, when they talk about women having babies with no good men, their response usually is, basically, you can boil it down to, they're attracted to these type of dudes and hey, fuck it. That's who they want to reproduce with. So if again, these gay chicks just walk around pretending to be baby daddies, which they really just get taken advantage of for their fake child support. Why do y'all do this to yourself? Fake child support. Again, they're not actually trying to reproduce with them. They're just using them. Right? So you can't tell people, well, your attraction is this, so therefore, well, they don't want their attraction to be separated from their wanting to reproduce and what they actually want to interact with physically in the bedroom.
With. If that were the case, then people would not be having sex for pleasure, So to say that you are not attracted to trans women because they can't have children is a little bit of a catch-22.
Oh, it's not.
But either way, my final advice is that I hope society can move in a place where we no longer care about labeling people. Like, so what if you want to call yourself bisexual because you're dating trans women? So what if you want to call
I think what she should try to reword this as, and this is why I say people have to be careful how they word things. You don't want to just not label people. You don't want to not label. If that was the case, why do we hate Donald Trump then? What do we call a guy that preys on young children or defenseless women? What do we call them? We're going to give a label or no? I think what she means to say is we shouldn't try to force people to live the lives we see fit for them if their life it isn't going to affect us directly or in a way that is, I guess greatly affects or whatever. But it's definitely not. We just shouldn't put label on people. That's stupid.
Call your friend gay because they're with a trans woman. Like, ultimately, you want to respect what they think their relationship is, but
you can respect it and call it gay. You can be right or wrong, but you can respect it and give it a label.
Like, I want to live in a world where these labels don't matter, Like, it shouldn't be a big deal. Like, whether or not you see someone as gay or straight dating a trans woman, who cares? Why does it matter? Does it affect you? Probably not. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you have any more you want to add to the discussion, just leave some comments down.
Alrighty, so, alright, what do y'all think? I still may or may not do the should they date incel video. If y'all want to see it, say so in the comment section. That may give me more of a energy boost to do it, I guess. But, it is what it is. Be right. Not positive. Out.